Welcome back to Daybreak Live on a Monday morning. Daybreak Live this morning brought to you by Sarah Automotive. Joining us this morning is Paul Pitts, and Paul originally from Sylacauga, now lives in the Carolinas. Paul, good morning.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good to be with you.
Well, it's good to have you with us today. And for those who don't know, Paul originally from Sylacauga, graduate of B.B. Comer High School.
That's correct. You and I actually went to school a little bit together back then, and enjoyed those times in school. And of course, my parents grew up here and was here the whole time too. A lot of people remember my dad, Reverend Buell Pitts. My mother, Paula, she worked at Craddock Clinic back in the days before the hospital took it over and that kind of thing. So we have a heritage right here in Sylacauga, Alabama. We do.
So let's talk about how you got started in promotions in gospel music.
Yeah. Well, we spent quite a few years in the communication business. Was senior officer for a large corporation across the nation and everything. And then at a point in time, we just looked at and said, we need to do something different. My wife was minister of music at 2 different churches along the years, so we had that in the background. But we went to a concert one night, and the concert hall held about 1,500 people, but there wasn't about 250 there. I looked at her and I said, we can do better than this, you know. So we started then, and we got into it pretty big. We opened up a company called Global Promotions. In 2017, we actually had 72 nights of gospel music in 15 different states, and carried it on pretty good. So we got involved heavily in that because we want to see the music and the ministry to continue. And it's tough these days, so we want to make sure that we support it in every way we can.
So where are we in Southern gospel music today, Paul?
We're still going good. You know, we've got Southern gospel music. I will say we've got the older type Southern gospel music, and we've got a little more progressive Southern gospel music, and we've got a mixture of it. And it's moving on really good. You know, the contemporary has taken a lot of the churches now, okay? But we still have many churches that have the Southern gospel, but we're having bigger events nationwide. I've just come back from a big one in California, believe it or not. The people out there, when you think about the West Coast, you think about San Francisco, Los Angeles, that kind of thing. But let me tell you, they've got a full portion of that state that is good conservative and love Southern gospel music. We had 2,000 people a night out there at the Great Western Fan Festival.
Wow.
Yeah. So they wanted to be in there and they want a part of it. We've got great events across the nation, like the National Quartet Convention that comes up in September, and we'll have 8,000 to 10,000 people a night for that. We got 40 days and 40 nights coming at the Ark Encounter in August, and there'll be 40 days and 40 nights, not just Ark, but gospel music on that. Next week, we got the Memphis Quartet Show in Memphis, Tennessee. And that will be the old-time quartets on that. You have to be 4-man quartets for every night of that. And we'll be there for that next week. Jackson Sings the Gospel. Bill Bailey puts that on in July in Jackson, Tennessee.
Well, he's active, isn't he?
Bill is really active. He's a really good friend. He sits on the board with me for the Southern Gospel Music Association, so we get to talk a lot. We do, yes. But we've got a lot of great events going on across the nation, and we've moved into different states. As part of the National Quartet Convention, we have that for a week there, but we have a spring event also in Pigeon Forge, but we also have a quarterly event out in Dallas, Texas. We're also moving an event into the end of the year at the Shipshewana, Indiana at the Blue Gate Theater. Now, it sounds different. People probably haven't heard of Shipshewana, but that's Amish country, and it's like, to me, I love going out there because it's like it was here back in the 50s and 60s, okay? But yet we have great gospel music at it. We're finding that the bigger multi-day events are doing much better than the single-day events, okay? We put on 2 single-day events in January, and we sold them both out. But it's a matter of marketing it to the right people and everything, and bringing the right music, the right combination to the area.
How are we doing that? How are we connecting with the audience we want to reach in Southern gospel music?
Okay. Well, social media is really big. We have over 250,000 people that follow us on social media, and we make sure that they get the time and when people are going to be out there, what group's going to be out there, and make sure if it's the groups they really like, we make sure that we target them with it, okay? So social media is the biggest way on that. We use radio and television, but as well as you know, gospel radio and gospel TV is not as big as it used to
right.
be. It's not spreading. You're good here in this area because you've got this local right here, and you can tell the people what's going on. But it is very hard in certain areas, and we've had to go to other means of radio at different times of day when we know people like in the factory working or listening to it and that kind of stuff, and get spots in. You have to really go into the area, research it, what stations they listen to, if they read a paper still, what kind of ads they look at, where do they go to see things, to see ads. We research all of that to get the word out to them. But then again, social media and a good mailing list is the biggest way right now of reaching the people.
Well, how do people find out about your ministry? Because I call it a ministry, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, we have a website, and it's globalpromo.org, globalpromo.org. On that website, it's a live website. It continues to change all day because we have global promotion items coming up. Then we have a company called Southern Gospel News Today, and you'll have Southern Gospel News updates all day. And then we have another section over there with interviews with artists and everything. It's called Getting to Know You. And then we have all the major events rolling on big rolling pages. So if you go to globalpromo.org or southerngospelmusictoday.com, it'll take you to the same place. And that gives you up to date all day of what's going on. You can also watch us on Facebook, Global Promotions on Facebook, or Southern Gospel News Today. That's our main areas right there. Southern Gospel News Today, we try to do as many of the events that's going on and single night events there. On Global Promotion, we try to put the bigger multi-day events and everything, but we also keep you up to date on the artists on both of those too.
A couple of weeks ago over in Childersburg, which is a rock's throw from Sylacauga, they had Triumphant and Karen Peckinpah River at First Baptist Church there. And they had a lot of people there, but as you say, you have to really research it and find out who your audience is and when they're going to be there.
A good example on this is you don't want to just get a big name and think you're going to have a big crowd. You got to make sure that name is who the people really want to hear.
Used to that would work, you know.
No, it don't anymore. Used to we could, in Birmingham, the auditorium there on Saturday night, those days just be pack it out, and open it and they'll come. Well, that's not the way it is today. You can have the biggest names in any gospel music, but if it's not the name that the local people really want to hear and know of, it doesn't work as well. The same way with some of the biggest artists you see. Think about the Collinsworth family. They've done really well today, and they're fantastic, okay? We worked with them in Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium when we did a double DVD. When she did the 3 baby grand pianos, all that was set up there. We did 2 DVDs that one night. It took 2 days to set up for the 3 baby grands. We took an intermission and cleared everything out and set up for the second DVD in 30 minutes.
Wow.
But here's the thing. Back then, the Collinsworth family was coming out pretty good, and they were doing good on the East Coast and Midwest, but they'd never been anywhere like Mobile, Alabama if they wanted to go. So they talked to me about going to Mobile. And I said, okay, we're going to try to get you down there, but they have never even played you on the radio. They have a Sunday morning program down there, 6 to 10, gospel music, and they have a local AM station, all this down there, but they had never played Collinsworth at that time. So just because they're doing good on the East Coast doesn't mean they do anything down there. So we called a friend of ours that pastored a church down there, and we had told him previously that we would bring something to his church. He's trying to build it up. And so I told them, I said, we're going to get a church down there that we're going to pack out. We're not going to take you to a huge event center this time because they don't know you. Then we talked with the radio down there, and we advertised and got them to play the music for the next 6 months over and over, not only in Mobile, but over in Mississippi and over in the Panhandle of Florida, okay? So on that night, we packed the church out, held 650 I think it was, and we filled that up. But if I'd put them in a 2,000-seat arena that night, it'd like nobody showed up. But it filled that up, and it started to build their audience from that area. You got to build, you got to grow it just like you're out planting a new crop, okay? You got to grow it and bring it out. You build personal relationships in doing that, but also as far as your business, like here, you got to build business relationships to get sponsorships, okay? It's the same way in gospel music. You need to find a way to sponsor stuff because the artist, they do it full time. They still got to pay all their bills. They got to pay that huge gas bill today. They still got to put their kids through school, got to pay their insurance, got to do the same thing you do. So we've got to pay them in order if they're going to do it full time, or they won't be there. They
Yeah,
can't.
we used to think, well, they just love Jesus, you know.
Yeah, if they love Jesus, they'll come sing anyway. And that's good for a love offering for local groups and everything, and those that want to spread the word locally. I think it's fantastic. But you and I both know, as much as we love Jesus, unless we get be able to get something special from Jesus, we're not going to be able to pay the bills.
Right.
Okay? And so we have to make sure that we get what the people wants. Have to make sure that we have it at the right time, not another big football game going on at the same time. All these things are factors you look into, okay? And then if you need to market it, you got to figure out what is the right areas for marketing here. Come to Silicaga, we just definitely want to come to your station and get advertising out this way, okay? And used to be the Daily Home newspaper. That's still the newspaper here? It's still around? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, what I'm saying is those are the kind of things you come in and research, and make sure you get the right ones to reach the right people. And if you just go out and say, I'm going to have artists come in, you and that artist are probably sitting there, you know.
So how many people do you have working with your company now?
Well, we've cut that back. We had, Global Promotions was running, I had 7 full-time people and about 13 volunteers on standby there. And then in the multiple states around us, since we was doing so many, I had 65 volunteers in the Carolinas to come and help us some things and all. But what we did right before the pandemic, we cut that back because we started working in the background of gospel music to help it nationwide. I'm president of Southern Gospel Promoters Association, so I work with all the promoters around the nation that's a member of our organization to ensure those locations out in the different states are able to do it and have the best training on do it. So what we did, we decided instead of continuing to do them all ourselves, we're going to work to make sure that we build the industry. So we're working with the Southern Gospel Promoter Association, we're on the board of the Southern Gospel Music Association, we're on the board of Southern Gospel Music Guild, we chair the Hopper Heritage Foundation. And at Hopper Heritage Foundation, we give scholarships to young ministers and aspiring artists. So that's something y'all need to remember. If you got somebody that's going into the ministry full time, that's a good place to make an application for a scholarship. Hopper Heritage Foundation.
That's a long way from a young guy in Silicaga, Alabama to get started years ago.
Well, it's all in what you do and aim for in life. And you know, and you work with people, and like I said a while ago, you build personal relationships through the years. And over time, they will turn into business relationships. We still do 4 major golf tournaments a year for nonprofits, and we fill them up and pack them out. We help them raise their funds, okay? That's the whole thing. If we can support others, they'll support you. You have a friend and work with them. You call on them when you have an event.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
It's that, but it's really building, you know, the people know me.
Sure.
I know them. And it just, it works. I make a call and you get help, and they call me and I get help.
Who's hot now in Southern Gospel music?
Well, Triumphant has been, quartet-wise, has been, for the last 10 years, they've won 90% of the Singing News Awards as quartet. Let's think about it. Joseph Haberdank, as far as a single artist, he's doing very good there. If you want to go back and pull something that's really made history with you, the New Inspirations, okay? They've gone back and they're singing all the songs that the older Inspirations used to sing, and people are loving it. And if you look at them and hear them, you think you see them, the Inspirations, the previous one. We'll be with them next week in Memphis and everything. So it's a lot of good artists like that, but it's then again, what kind of music do you like? You've got the full old-time Southern gospel. You've got a little bit of mixture, then you got a little more progressive gospel in it and everything. What kind of songs do you like? And that's again what you have to look at for the people. You know,
old-time Southern gospel. You know, I think of artists like Ray Dean Reese of the Kingsman Quartet. He's been singing bass for 100 years, still doing it.
Yeah, I'll be with him next week also. They just got through over the weekend in Georgia, putting on a big multi-day event there, and he was there. We interviewed Reagan and the Kingsman just about a month or so ago, and he's still going full blast, and he can still still get it.
Yeah, wow. You know, a lot of people from this area attend the National Quartet Convention.
Right.
Of course, this show is on statewide across Spectrum Cable in Alabama, some 650,000 households. So a lot of people interested, even though it's a few months away in September,
Right.
in Pigeon Forge.
That is going to be great again this year. We start out on Sunday night and we go all the way through the following Saturday. So many, all you major artists, majority of all you major artists will be there, and we'll do some extra celebration. It's the Hopper's 65th year, you know, celebration. Claude's been out there going for 65 years. I introduced him a couple of months ago on stage. We waited till after the Hoppers sang a few, then we brought him out there, and I let the people know we've got a guy coming on stage that's been doing it 65 years, you know. But he's they still going. We'll celebrate them and many other things. The college will have a special afternoon session there. A lot of you great ministers will be there for the morning session where we actually have a minister come in and speak a few minutes before we have a few songs with it. So it is a great week. Now, we actually start this thing on Sunday night. That way people can go to the Sunday morning services and still drive on and be over there.
Again, it's marketing, right?
Well, it's marketing a little bit right there, but on Sunday night we started, and on that particular night, it's not assigned seating. Every night else it's assigned seating, but it's open seating to the ones that get a ticket and come in. And by the way, Jimmy, you know, we have a couple of free tickets we'd like to give people.
Let's do that this morning.
To give people for the National Quartet Convention on that Sunday night.
Yeah, and we'll take the third call at 256-369-1688. That's 256-369-1688 for a pair of tickets to the Sunday night show in Pigeon Forge. You know, a lot of people plan their vacation around National Quartet Convention Week.
It's at the LeConte Center, beautiful center. And one reason of moving that from Louisville to Pigeon Forge was because in Louisville it had a lot of steps. LeConte Center made it one flat thing so people don't have to climb up and down steps, and it's very comfortable in there. But yes, if you want to have a vacation, I don't care what your age is, there's something there for you in Pigeon Forge. We take our grandkids there all the time. They love it, you know, and but like I say, don't matter what age you are, you've got plenty to do in Pigeon Forge, and they got some good food there too.
Absolutely. Hey, we want you to be a part of the Sunday night show of the National Quartet Convention in September. You're the third call. You get plenty of time to plan. 256-369-1688. We got you a pair of tickets to the Sunday night show of the National Quartet Convention in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And we talked about the Hoppers a few minutes ago. What's the latest on Connie?
Connie is doing much better. Connie has had a lot of different things over the years. She had cancer several times, but this last year, about 2 years ago now, she had a little more effect on her brain a little bit, but she is doing a lot better. She doesn't come out and sing the full show anymore, that kind of thing, or the full concert, but she makes the majority of them. I was with her in Knoxville, Tennessee about 4 to 5 weeks ago, and was able to get her out there.
She's been singing, what, 60 years?
Yeah, Claude tells the story how he's driving down the street right there in his car, and he sees this young lady out there on the sidewalk. He rolls his window down and said, "Hey, we need somebody to play the piano for our group. How about you?" You know, he tells that story on and on and on. And yes, they've been singing all these years. You know, the whole family is involved in everything. And it's Kim just put a new solo album out this last year, Softly and Tenderly. She went back and pulled a lot of the older hymns, and she's got that out now.
We still love those old hymns of the church, don't we?
They do well, and Gerald Wolfe has done very good on getting into hymn sing out there. They were in Easley, South Carolina, at one of your larger Baptist churches. It hosts 3,300 people. That's like, I think it was 3 weeks ago, and they had over 2,500 people there for the gospel music hymn sing.
Wow.
It's amazing what you can do. Again, you have to be able to let the people know what you got and bring the right thing to them.
All right, Paul Pitts is with us this morning. And Paul, again, tell the folks how they can get in touch with you and several different social media platforms, and tell us where to go.
All right. On Facebook, you can go to Global Promotions, You'll see the big GP, or you can go to Southern Gospel News Today, Southern Gospel News Today, or on the website, go to globalpromo.org. That's globalpromo.org, and that's a live website all day giving you up-to-date news on Southern Gospel music.
Before we close the show this morning, Kingdom Heirs.
Yes.
Dollywood Quartet, as they were described years ago, and you know, Arthur Rice, I guess, has been singing many great
27
guy,
years.
Great guy, and he is stepping aside from the Kingdom Heirs. What's he going to do next?
Well, we announced it yesterday. He has become the new minister of music in Asheville, North Carolina, for the Trinity Baptist Church.
Okay.
Yes. That's where Arthur went to church years and years ago, okay? And you know, he sang with the group that was out of Asheville for a long time, so that was his home church. And over the last few months, the opportunity arose, and he went and did a lot of prayer about it, because, you know, you're right, he's been on the stage as the front man for the Kingdom Heirs for quite a while.
Yeah.
He's the president of Southern Gospel Music Association, okay? So we deal with him every week on something. But he did a lot of prayer on this, and he agreed to take that position, minister of music there at Trinity Baptist in Asheville, North Carolina, and I think they'll do real good there. I think they'll do very good. The Kingdom Heirs, they've already announced that I forget the guy's name that plays the keyboard for them, but he's going to end up singing the baritone lead, and then they're going to move parts around internal to the group and come back out that way. They've already been practicing. I called Jacob on the phone this last week to verify everything. He's their youngest singer there that came out of Lee University. Anyway, I called him and talked to him on the phone. He said they've already been practicing, and today is Arthur's last day to sing with the Kingdom Heirs.
Wow.
Then they'll change it over, yeah. And actually, Arthur and his wife, Tammy, they were at the Baptist Church in Asheville yesterday. So
That's fantastic.
things are moving on.
Fantastic. Paul Pitts, our guest this morning. Paul, always a pleasure to see you. And thanks for dropping by this morning, and
Thank you,
continued success. And we love Southern Gospel music in the state of Alabama, and I know we'll hear and see you quite often in 2022. More Daybreak just ahead. Don't go away.